This is the story of Three Lost Kittens. Moonboots, Tippy and Twee decided to head off lower down the mountain to search for adventure. They didn't realise they were about to become three lost kittens. Tiny Trevor asked if he could come too. "You're too small," said Twee. "Wait for us at the house, we won't be long." The three kittens started walking down the dirt track from the house. Tippy kept stopping on the way to chase butterflies. Each time he ran off after a butterfly, the two girls sat and waited patiently for him, sitting grooming in the sunshine. The kittens made their way down past the familiar trees and woodland and down into the olive groves below. "I don't want to go too far," said Moonboots. "I've never been down here before." "Relax," said Twee. "My mum says that as long as we keep one familiar thing in sight, we can't get lost." They found an open clearing where, nice and warm in the sun, they fell asleep. They woke with a jolt as a pack of hunting dogs came racing towards them, barking. Luckily, one wore a bell around his neck, which gave them a bit of warning. "Run!" screamed Moonboots, and the kittens shot off in different directions with hounds snapping at their heels. The two girls managed to get up a tree, and Tippy shot into a small space in a blackberry bush. Panting, the girls looked down in horror as the dogs stood with their paws up the tree, baying in their direction. They could hear Tippy crying with fear as dogs were trying to dig their way into his bush to get him. Then they heard the sound of a whistle in the distance, followed by a man's voice shouting the dogs. Luckily, the dogs responded and ran off into the distance. "Moonboots," called Tippy. "We are up the tree safe, Tippy," said Moonboots. "Don't come out in case they come back. Are you all right?" "I hurt my paw," said Tippy. "I trod on something sharp. But I'm okay. I just want to go home." "Well, we have to be patient and wait," said Twee, being practical. "When we are sure they're gone, we can go home." Some time later, the girls decided to come out of the tree and ran over to Tippy, who came out of his bush limping slightly. "Let's go home," said Tippy. "But which direction is it?" asked Moonboots. With horror, it dawned on the kittens that they'd run a long way when the dogs chased them, and they didn't know which way was home. Tippy started to cry again. "Crying won't get us anywhere," Tippy said to Twee. "We have to figure out how to get home." By now it was getting dark. "I think we need to stay here for the night in Tippy's blackberry bush so we're safe. Then we will find our way home in daylight," said Twee. Moonboots and Tippy agreed. "They'll all be waiting for us at home," said Tippy. "I told the others we'd see them at dinner time. They'll be on the porch looking for us." "Well, it can't be helped," Tippy said Moonboots. "We will be home in the morning." At home, the cats were on the porch waiting as their human mum came out with their food. She noticed that the three lost kittens weren't there, and she called and called for them. She fed the rest of the family and then walked all around the land calling "Moonboots," hoping to hear a meow and see her little face appear along with the others. But it was not to be, and she was worried. They've never been absent before. It was now dark, and the kittens were huddled together to keep warm in the middle of the blackberry bush. They slept intermittently as there were so many noises. Then there was a lot of noise and the sound of heavy footsteps and a strong animal smell. A wild boar had come to eat the blackberries that had fallen. "Please, sir," said Tippy, "we are three lost kittens. Can you tell us how to find our home? We live by a big house and have lots of brothers and sisters, including two big black dogs that look after us." "I know the house," said the boar, "but you're quite away from it. You're safer here for now, and then in the morning head towards the sunrise and you'll find the track." "Thank you so much," said Moonboots politely. An hour or so later, there was another smell and the sound of an animal carefully circling the blackberry bush. With horror, Moonboots realised it was a big male fox. At that moment, the fox lunged towards the gap in the bush and tried to grab her. Out of nowhere, Twee launched herself and scratched the fox's nose really badly. Tippy started crying. "There are three of us and only one of you," said Twee. "Go away and leave us alone." "I'll be back this way tomorrow," said the fox, "and I'll have my family with me. Then you'll be mine." With that, he slunk away into the darkness. Tippy was still crying. Moonboots licked his face to comfort him. Whilst her back was turned, Twee smacked Tippy on the head, saying, "Wuss." In the morning, the kittens followed the boar's instructions and walked towards the direction of the sunrise. Unfortunately, as it warmed up, butterflies started to appear, and once again Tippy kept diving off after them. Tippy, said Twee sharply, we don't have time for this. We have to get home. Twee took the lead, with Moon Boots right behind her and Tippy trailing behind. They seemed to have walked for ages and stopped for a rest. The sun was getting quite high in the sky now, and they still hadn't reached the track. They started walking again, and then Moon Boots looked back and saw Tippy sitting crestfallen, looking down at something on the ground in front of him. She called Twee, and they ran back to him. What's up this time? Said Twee crossly. Tippy pointed at the crumpled butterfly dead in front of his paws. I broke it, he said. It's not pretty any more. Moon Boots sighed and said, sometimes, Tippy, we want things really badly, and then when we get them, they are a disappointment. The wanting is more fun than the having. What does that mean? Said Tippy. It means we need to get home, said Twee. By now, apart from a few beetles, the kittens hadn't eaten anything for quite a while. Tippy was about to repeat that he was hungry until he saw a glare from Twee and decided it was better to keep quiet. We can't afford to be out here for another night, Twee, said Moon Boots. That fox will be back and he's angry. I agree, said Twee. We need to push on. Then there was a squeal from behind them and Tippy said, I recognise that tree. Come on, girls. I'm going to sleep for a week when we get home. There's hope for him yet, muttered Twee under her breath. Sure enough, they had found the bottom of the track that led home, but it was still a long way to go and it was already starting to get dark and looked like it was going to rain. Tippy was still limping, so they had to walk at his pace, and as a strong wind started to blow, Moon Boots began to wonder if they were going to get home before the storm broke. Twee then shouted, Look, I can see lights. Sure enough, up in the distance there were lights twinkling. Home, said Moon Boots, excitement in her voice, and it's time for dinner.